Hello, this is Katie Walker with the good, the bad, and the ugly of a few upcoming changes. So I would like to start with Blackboard Learn, an update which we have no choice about. A company called Box bought Crocodoc. You've been used to using Crocodoc for inline grading, which has quite a few different options for adding comments to student papers, drawing ability, and quite a few other markup options where the student can see your comments in a list like this. And that worked really nicely for documents as well as PDFs. But it didn't even show a lot of other formats like images, like JPEGs, for example. So the new box view, which I'm able to show you in the testing server, does show quite a few additional file formats. So here is an image file, a JPEG, and it will take a moment to load, but it shows right there, so that's nice. And a PowerPoint shows really nicely. Again, takes a few minutes to load, and I've noticed sometimes I even have to hit refresh. But the PowerPoint, I can scroll through the different slides, as you can see there. Of course, Excel files show up nicely. It's kind of small, of course. I'd have to move this over, and I don't even know if I can zoom in. Oh yeah, there we go. I can zoom in down here. Okay. So basically, there are still some that don't work, like this pub file, which is from Publisher, but of course PDFs still work, text files work, and so on. However, there are some formats in which you have some markup options and some that you don't. So you can see I don't have any markup options on this one, but if I go back to the PDF, I do have an option. There's really only two. I can put what are called point-based comments. So I click on that, and then I just click somewhere in the document and type my comment. Whoops. And basically, it just shows up, and the student has to mouse over it. There's also the ability to highlight. Basically, if you just select something, then you can choose to highlight it. And then you could also leave a comment. Whoops, I missed that. Also leave a comment there. So anyway, it's going to look different. Some of you use this feature and some of you don't. Another difference is you can both print and download it, but that does not show the annotations, unfortunately. So once again, the advantage is a lot more file formats, but the disadvantage is a lot fewer markup features. On the bright side, we have an upcoming feature in Blackboard which some of us will be able to pilot this spring and everyone will have access to hopefully this summer and definitely in the fall, which is called Blackboard Ally, which will help us with accessible materials. So anytime a document is attached, either with item or just by going to file, then Blackboard will check its accessibility, and if it's not as good, it'll show up red. And when you click on it, this part is not working quite yet, but basically it'll take you through a wizard and tell you what this means and how to do it. And in some cases, it tries to do it for you. If it's okay, then it'll be green. Sometimes that's perfect, as you can see here. Other times it is slightly different color green, and it just says it's high. So I can still click on it. But it tells me there is one thing wrong with it, that the tables are missing headers. And once again, I click on these and learn more, which is pretty cool. So the students obviously do not see these symbols. This shows up just for the faculty. It, as of yet, does not check videos. It checks images, though. So you can see that this image has alt text and it shows up with a green, but this image, it's kind of falls down here, but this image shows up red. It does not have alternative text there. So it will check documents and images, but here's another really cool feature. And this is available for both students and faculty. When you click, on the options button, and students will see the options button now if you have Ally enabled, then you actually have a new feature called accessible versions. So this syllabus can actually be downloaded by a student in a preferred format. The first time they do it, it will take a little bit of time for it to generate. But it does it on demand. So they could have it read to them, or some of these other formats. So that is pretty cool. Both faculty and students have that option. So once again, I'm showing this to you in the test server. It is not available yet for everybody. So some of you may have heard of Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. It is a new version of Blackboard Collaborate, and most likely in the spring you will get to choose. So this time we do have a choice, and you can pick. I am personally I'm going to remain using the Collaborate Original, I think they're calling it, or maybe Classic. The Collaborate Ultra looks quite different, as you can see in this screenshot. It has some different features, so you can see just the list of participants. You can open the panel, and there's different options, so you can be looking at chat. You can share a blank whiteboard. You can application share. You can share files, polling, and breakout rooms. So those are basically the only features they have. When you share files, though, now you can share PDF files. And they remain in this session apparently, because I put these in here the other day and they're still in here. So I have to click on this PDF and share now, and then it shows up my pages on the right, and it will show up over here on the left in just a moment for everybody else in the room to see. It also is supposed to have improved application sharing and audio and video. One thing you may notice is that, sorry, I didn't click on a slide. That's why it didn't show up over here. So then, this is the part I'm seeing over here on the right, so I could close that. And this is how I would be showing the students, walking them through this PDF. So the reason I'm not ready to use it, it does not have a timer, and also the markup is temporary. So when I write on the board, that's, I don't usually want to keep it, but if I were to move on to something else and come back, it wouldn't be there. And so students writing on the board really is not an option. It can't be saved unless you take a screenshot of it, of course, but so it has very limited whiteboard features. But you can also see one other advantage at the top here. It's browser based, so there's no downloading of a launcher. It's not a separate application. It's right here in the browser. So that's Blackboard Collaborate Ultra, and you will get to choose when you create your sessions in the spring. And the last thing I'm going to mention to you today is that Digication, which many of us are using with our students for a variety of different purposes, has a new version available as well. So at this point, again, you'll be able to choose between the original and the new version of Digication. This is, remember what the original version looked like. This is a class ePortfolio that I've worked on, and you can see that it's very, very basic. But when I show you the new one, you'll see that it looks completely different. It is completely different. It is doesn't really have anything in common. It's much more visual, modern looking. I did use it with a class. Again, this is a different class, a class ePortfolio, so students added their own information to it, and I will tell you that I had quite a few issues with the new version. Using it this way as a course ePortfolio probably wouldn't have been as many problems if they were using it each doing their own. But anyway, it looks really nice. It's really easy to edit the navigational menu, and things can just be added and then dragged and dropped to put in the right place. So this is the page structure of it, which is really pretty simple. And that's how you get the menu up here. And then on each page, there's different items, and they're added just by hitting this plus. And there's lots and lots of different options for what you want to add to your page. So that's just a quick sneak peek at some changes that are coming to us in the spring of 2018 and beyond.